considerate, full of life, even witty. What more could we both want? Be strong. Be strong. I know it won't be easy, but we've had a wonderful life together, and you'll never forget all the good times we've had. Live life to its full yourselves. Enjoy every minute of it. Love and look after Mum as if she's both of us. I love you, Dad. I folded this letter into a small square and put it in my pocket. Fully clothed, I lay down beside Joan and hugged her. Holly and Sam came into our room and cuddled into bed between us. Then Sam slipped off with his cousins to go to the launch site and see the balloon, in which I hope shortly to fly around the world. Joan and Holly stayed with me while I spoke to Martin, the meteorologist. The flight, he said, was definitely on. We had the best weather conditions for 5 years. I then called Tim Evans, our doctor. He'd just been with Rory McCarthy, our third pilot, and had bad news. Rory couldn't fly. He had mild pneumonia. By the time Rory and I met in the hotel dining room, it was deserted. The journalists who'd been following the preparations for the launch had already left for the launch site. Rory and I hugged each other. We both cried. I can't believe I'm letting you down, Rory said. I'm never ill, never, ever. Don't worry, I assured him. It happens. We've got Alex, who weighs half what you do. We'll fly far further with him on board. Alex Ritchie was already out at the launch site, supervising the mad dash to get the capsule ready with Pearl Lindstrand, the hot air balloonist who had introduced me to the sport. Alex was the brilliant engineer who had designed the capsule. Although it was he who had built both our Atlantic and Pacific capsules, I didn't know him well, but despite having no flight training, Alex had bravely made the decision to come with us. If all went well, we'd have about 3 weeks to get to know each other, about as intimately as any of us would want. 8:30 a.m. As we drove along the dirt road out to the Moroccan airbase, it looked as if a new mosque had sprouted overnight. Above the bending, dusty palm trees, a stunning white orb rose up like a mother-of-pearl dome. It was the balloon. Men on horseback galloped along the side of the road, guns slung over their shoulders, heading for the airbase, and around the perimeter railing was an amazing collection of people. The entire complement of the airbase stood off to one side in serried ranks, dressed in smart navy blue uniforms. In front of them was the traditional Moroccan collection of dancing women in white shawls, hollering, wailing, and whooping. Per, Alex and I gathered in the capsule and did a final check of all the systems. The sun was rising rapidly and the helium was beginning to expand. 10:15 a.m. We were ready to go. I hugged Joan, Holly and Sam one last time. I was amazed at Joan's strength, and Holly too appeared to be totally in control of the situation. But Sam burst into tears and pulled me towards him. I will never forget the anguished strength of his hug. Then he kissed me, let go, and hugged Joan. I ran across to kiss Mum and Dad goodbye. Mum pressed a letter into my hand. Open it after 6 days, she said. I silently hoped we would last that long. 11:19 a.m. 4, 3, 2, 1, and Per threw the lever which fired the bolts which severed the anchor cables, and we lifted silently and swiftly into the sky. There was no roar of the burners. We just rose up, up and away, and then, as we caught the morning breeze, we headed over Marrakesh, its square pink walls, the large town square, the green courtyards, and fountains hidden behind high walls laid out below us. By 10,000 feet, it became cold and the air grew thin. We shut the trap door. From now on, we were on our own. We were pressurized, and the pressure would mount. Our first fax came through just before midday. Oh God, Per handed it over. Look at this. Please be aware that the connectors on the fuel tanks are locked on, I read. The connectors should have been locked off, so that if we got into trouble and started falling, we could jettison a 1-ton fuel tank by way of ballast. We need to get down to 5,000 feet, and then I'll climb out and unlock them, Alex said. It's not a problem. However, it was impossible to lose height during the day because the sun was heating the helium in the balloon's inner core. It was a nagging worry because we didn't know how this balloon would fly at night, and with our fuel tanks locked on, our ability to escape trouble was limited. Per slumped by the controls in a furious silence, speaking only when we asked him a direct question. We flew serenely for the rest of the day, but as we approached the Algerian border we had a second shock. The Algerians informed us that we were heading straight for Betcha, their top military base, and told us that we could not fly over it. "You are not, repeat not, authorized to enter this area," said the fax. I spent about 2 hours on the satellite phone to Mike Kendrick, our flight controller, and tried various British ministers. Eventually, André Azoulay, the Moroccan minister, who had ironed out all our problems for the launch in Morocco, came to our rescue. He explained to the Algerians that we could not change our direction, and that we did not have powerful cameras on board. They accepted this and relented. By 5 p.m. we were still flying at 30,000 feet. Per started firing the burners to heat the air inside the envelope, which would then warm the helium. But although we burned for an hour, the balloon started losing height. We lost 1,000 feet and then another 500. It was getting colder all the time as the sun disappeared. It was clear that the helium was rapidly contracting, becoming a dead weight on top of us. "We've got to dump ballast," Per said. He was frightened. We all were. We pulled levers to dump the lead weights which were on the bottom of the capsule, and I saw them on my video screen dropping like bombs. I had a horrible feeling that this was just the start of a disaster. It was now getting dark. We steadied for a while, but then the balloon started falling once more. This time the fall was faster. My ears went numb and then popped, and I felt my stomach rising up. We were at only 15,000 feet. We were somewhere over the Atlas Mountains in darkness, and we were heading for a horrible crash landing. None of us spoke. I made some rapid calculations. "At this rate of fall, we've got 7 minutes," I said. "Okay," Per said, "open the hatch, depressurize." We opened the trap door at 12,000 feet, dropping to 11,000 feet, and with a breathtaking rush of freezing air, the capsule depressurized.